Okay, figured why not do another one. Although today it's chilly. Yesterday it was like 80 degrees, and today it's chilly. But it's climate change. Another day of watching this go further south. Running out and about today, you start to see now all signs up. Please keep 6 feet distance between yourselves and others. Please adhere to all social distancing. Keep conversations at a minimum. These are signs at the fucking convenience stores. Fear is an amazing thing, but the realization of what is going on here is even more fearful. So people will pick this one, I guess. But in reality, people actually took the time to see the big picture and realize this economic system that's coming in, the loss of freedoms that will be coming in, the turning on each other, where we are, if you're a truth-oriented person and you stand up for what's right, what you know to be right, you will become the witch or the heretic or the leper in society, just going through the same situations over and over again. And to really witness how easy it is to do in a supposed civilized world that we supposedly are, it's sad to see. My son's friends can't get together because their parents are afraid of the coronavirus. And again, I don't mean to be insensitive towards people with weak immune systems that have caught this flu and have perished or gotten seriously ill, like what happens with the flu every year, where tens of thousands of more people die, but no one seems to be so insensitive about that while they're running around the Monopoly board all damn day. But now, it's the government's going to save the old people. They care so much about those Social Security pension collecting old people, as they're referred to as in their white papers as useless eaters. I think Kissinger called them, right? It's just, it's sad to see people become so just mesmerized with fear, when dumped into that R complex, that survival mode. And like I said, at the end of this thing, the new economic system, the surveillance, the real ID, which lets people know whether or not you're vaccinated or not, and without the real ID and without a vaccination, you're not going to be able to do anything. And then as you become more of a problem under social crediting to the people around you because you do refuse to do these things, now you're going to be a problem for them. And all of the finger pointing starts, as I said, the leper, heretic, witch, just as they've done in history to anyone who's upset people trying to just run around the Monopoly board and live in their R-complex survival animalistic mode, led by their emotions, It's just sad to watch. And I hope that people have more awareness than this outside of this tri-state area of zombies up here. But up here, it's in the minuscule numbers of people that get even a fraction of the fact that this isn't a pandemic, as they say. And it has been orchestrated and practiced all the way back to last year, Event 201, all this stuff that is so easily put together. Yesterday I sent out Greg Manorino clip and a David Icke clip. There's two new ones. Greg did another one today, which I thought was spot on to get people to understand financially what's going on here. And then David Icke had a 2-hour interview on London Real. Now, I don't love that dude that runs that show, Brian, whatever. I kind of, but the interview was spectacular. And by the end, I actually did like some of the things Brian had to say. But sometimes he can be very, but I would highly suggest, I'm going to put him with this video like I did yesterday. I hope you watched the two yesterday. Because if we don't understand how we're being manipulated and why we're being manipulated and the point of where this is going, and then realize that's why you were incarnated into this world, to say no to this, to realize that this avatar you live in is simply just that, and that you are the ever free infinite soul that is all of creation, that we all are together with creation together, and to stand in the way of this tyranny and this oppression, the actual system of control that wants to move in and take away human freedom for your kids, my kids, me, you. It's kind of important. It's kind of why all of the movies and stories and historic lessons and all those things have those heroes in them, so that you can internalize a religious story, so you can internalize these things, not worship them as some kind of deity in religion or admire them in some kind of story and think this was cool in a movie. There's a point to it all. You're supposed to embody that heroic side of truth and justice and stand in it. Because if enough of us did that, they couldn't fucking do this. They couldn't come close. Oh my God, people are texting me. Stop it. Try to turn it down. Hope it didn't interrupt. Like Periscope, where it used to interrupt all the time. I don't know what that did. Like I said, I don't love this app, this YouTube thing, so I don't use it much. But why not now? You know what I mean? Sit down and try to put stuff together, and I'm just going to talk, like I said, because people really need to get in their own head and ask if they're ready for this, because they need to be ready for this. All the truthers and all the communities fighting now over whether it's 5G or it's the white hats that are doing it to take down the Fed and sit back and enjoy the show and all this nonsense. Just continuing to fight over details and fight over details and fight over details. It's time for all of you idiots to stop it and realize what this is actually about. It's about the taking of human freedom, the control of one centralized unit, one government, one currency, one World Bank, one religion, one bunch of psychopaths running the world. And if you can't put that together and you still think that the government wants to save all the old people, and to save all the old people, we have to stop the entire world. It all has to, first of all, the fact that they have the power to do it and to get everyone to go along with it. Wow, what does that tell you about brainwashing and how that works? But if you really think that that's what they're doing, I'd ask you to take a step back and ask yourself how you've gotten so mentally deranged. So, let me wipe my nose. Corona, for my Corona boogie. You should see people now, man, out there. Went from conversations and stuff during the week. I told you, it's just going down, down, down to the point where people, they look annoyed when you come in the store. You know what I mean? And these are people you see every day for years. It's crazy to see this work so well. And, God forbid you start to say something about it not being real. Whoa. It's like they want it to be real because, like I said, it would be more scary for them without the background understanding of who they are, of all of history, of what this grand illusion is and what the spiritual side is you're here to do and all that stuff to take on such a job, It's easier for them to be scared of a virus and look for mommy and daddy government to offer the solutions and just give away whatever freedoms, whatever is left of their soul to remain safe and get out of that fear of death. And thank goodness they saved them. And anybody that's in their way who refuses vaccinations or speaks out or has questions or goes against the narrative is the reason that this will continue, and they will have no problem, as I said yesterday, shouting for Barabbas in that case and allowing the disposal of us nuisances in their lives. And then at which point, many of those truthers will become the Judas who take the money and run and jump into the system, take their vaccines, get their little card and say, I tried. Yep, I tried. And then there'll be those who deny the truth completely, as Peter did, out of fear, and, end up doing the same thing. So these are the times you need to ask yourself, do you really understand what this is all about? And try to talk to the people you know and love. I mean, again, it's difficult. I've told you, I've done it. People don't want to hear it. There's only so much you can do and say. I get it. We've been doing it for a long time. Did a lot of it over the past week or two. Certain people I didn't, because they ain't going to want to hear it. I already know how they feel, and I'm not going to get a headache over it. Coming on here, I hate doing. You know what I mean? But it was something that I would have kept doing if they didn't take all the accounts away. And the fact that, I was trying to put something else together, but just kind of coming on like this, it's not something I love to do. I like to actually write it out a little bit. The show I was doing was in its early stages. I finally kind of have a camera and was going to be able to put something together, but I am by myself, and it was a slow go, but doing the show with Lisa and Sarah every week has always been good. And we're trying to do the things that we can do, but that sense of panic that's in people's eyes, everyone wearing gloves, like I said, people holding doors with their elbows, instead of walking by you, they're taking this big long way around you, it's not everyone that I run into out there. Stop, Ozzy, stop. It's not everyone that I run into out there, but this puppy, man. but it's most, and then you have those that are just, blowing it off as a thing that's just going to go away, and we're all going to go back to normal. Nothing is going back to normal after this. Like I said, you're not going to be able to go into school or your job or any of these places eventually without a vaccine, without a forced vaccine. You're not going to be able to do or go anywhere without being surveilled, like really openly now, like as they do in China with, like I said, social crediting and all these things coming. And the takeover of the economic system and change into this one world centralized unit of psychopaths, which they've just done, by the way. They've done it. It's being done as we speak, as an excuse from the coronavirus bringing everything down, and that this market that's been blown into a bubble and everyone knows should have bursted years ago. It's the coronavirus, but they have their excuse. They have their fall guy. There's no taking down the Fed and blaming the Fed. As I said yesterday, Trump is a real estate tycoon. He does understand a small wee bit about the markets, and he knew what he was doing. He was following his orders, and he's in that puppet slot. And if you see what they're doing around the world in places, papers, please, papers, please, papers, please, that's okay with you, huh? And we are now a nationalist, socialist country. The corporations and the government have all been being bought out and bailed out, merged, industries bailed out, corporations bailed out. Defense Production Act activated, so they can take any business they want, use them to do whatever it is they want, use your assets where they want, use you, put you in servitude how they see fit, all with a steady paycheck coming to everybody because government loves you, right? I think Greg Manarino was saying yesterday the amount of money they're talking about giving the everyday Americans, like $1,200 in a check, while they're taking billions of dollars to bail out these corporations and industries who have done nothing but buy their own fucking stocks all these years to keep themselves alive. It's all a joke. See, it's all the big club, and you and I ain't in it. And until people realize that and keep sitting back hoping their masters are going to come and shave their sheep hair and, give them a nice glass of milk, I'm saying to those that are awake, stay awake. Don't let this thing back you down. If this is the way it goes, this is what you came to do. Doesn't mean after we're all gone, having led the charge and bringing that voice to truth, that shit couldn't change in the future. Enough people. Who knows? Who knows what that charge will lead? But we'll never know if we don't take it. If we cower in fear and take our vaccines and get our real ID and just conform into the social crediting world of society and don't say anything that they don't want, and for the sake of our kids, and we don't want to get our house, and I need to pay this bill. If we get into all that mode, it's over. There are things worth dying over. That's why you need to get over the fear of death. And I don't know if it's maybe people that have suffered tons and tons of tragedy that actually have to get in the mirror and deal with death and loss that come to that conclusion. Does it really take that for everyone? I mean, yeah, I guess it did take that for me, but does it take that for everyone? To question what the big fear of death is when, most religions teach you there's life after to begin with. So experiment with that thought for a little bit and realize that you are that eternal spark that is part of the all, and that onward you will go. This is an avatar. It's a way of experience, to experience life in this suit called a body, in this tiny band of frequency called visible light that we call a world. in an infinite amount of frequencies around us. It's, what can be done when, you understand how the mind works and you use that against others. And that's what these people do. The occult teachings that they understand all center around the mind, social engineering, the psychology of people based on the knowledge of our history that they don't tell us, their knowledge of science that they suppress, their knowledge of horrible illegal human experiments that they conduct, weaponry that they create, and they suppress it all, and they're using it all, and they're going to continue to use that all. If everybody does eventually get sick, it's going to be in a targeted kind of way where they can use frequencies to do it, to get people, if not enough people start jumping on this vaccine board. These people have contingency plans. The only way is to just free your mind from it. If you could see the big picture, their contingency plans don't work because you see the big picture. So you go, now they're trying this, now they're trying that. If we all came together and realized it's human interaction, it's that human spirit among us all that they want to destroy. They want to isolate, look at life. You go to parties, you go on vacations with people, you meet strangers, you go to dinner with people. Life takes place with other people, amongst each other. And they're looking to take that away. And they can only take it away if you fear doing it. Like I'm saying, sadly, my son's friends, parents, afraid of the coronavirus. Kids are sitting a frick inside, Of course, my kids have been out and stuff over at the park and, riding bikes, we're doing stuff, but they want to hang with their friends. And these people are in such ignorance of what's really going on and fear, out of love, but they can be placed into that frequency of fear that the last times they'll be able to maybe even get together, they're taking away. Because who knows what this lockdown is going to bring, if they bring it. Because we're not on lockdown. We can go out, It's empty out there, but, it hasn't quite hit here yet. So people aren't using it. They choosing not to use it. And it's sad to see. These are all our choices, We can choose to be afraid of each other because we're programmed to be, or we can realize that if this even was some kind of horrible virus spreading all over the place, that it is a flu-like virus. It's interesting. I never get sick, and I had a couple days this year feeling like shit. I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. And it seems people you talk to have had that. People maybe even already have it, which is why they can go around and say everybody's got it. Anybody they want to choose. Who knows? It's a flu. Get some Tamiflu, or just do what I do and just ride it out. Goes away, But if you understand that fear, it's just a fear that are you afraid of the flu every year? Now again, there's people with compromised immune system, elderly, sick, whatever age. Well, if people really cared in government, they would be helping those people and devoting all resources to those people and doing everything they can for those people instead of locking down the rest of all of the other people. Because it's a bunch of nonsense what they're doing. They don't care about the, as they term them, useless eaters and pension collectors and Social Security collectors that could no longer serve them in the system. And they have no problem with the fact that they're susceptible to this, And if you check the stats, you will see these are the people that fall prone to it. Sickly too, no matter what age, if you have a compromised immune system. Now, many people have a compromised immune system even at younger ages because of the shit they eat, the shit they drink, the shit they breathe. But they can still swat it away with a 2 or 3 day not feeling too good. Some of them don't feel it at all. If you understood this about this particular pandemic that's going around, that's not a pandemic, then you would not be afraid of it. You wouldn't be afraid to go shake hands with your neighbor and walk and talk and all go out to wherever, any place you can and, start to make it a problem for people, that want to keep them inside. Have them see that, no, we're not believing you. But instead, tons of people are falling for it. It's like, I don't know. I wouldn't have believed that they had the minds of this many people if I didn't see it, because I'm one who always tries to keep hope. So there's that. Greg Mannarino has a new one out today. David Icke I just caught on the London Reel, like I was saying to you. It's a 2-hour one, and it's very hidden on the computer. It's on the internet. Some reason it's unlisted. I had to run it by the link, and when you ran it through DuckDuckGo, it even said, we're not allowed to give a description of what this video is, so you click on it, and that's what it is. If you send it out to anyone on a text or anything, it changes the title to some Bitcoin cryptocurrency thing, because the video is very succinct. As David Icke can do, he can explain this very succinctly, very calmly, unlike myself, and very efficiently. But there's another video that came out this week. Mark Passio released his presentation that he did at Anarchadelphia back in September, and it's called The Sacred Gift of Anger. It's another 2-hour presentation that you should sit down and watch. So that's a 2-hour interview with David. It's a 2-hour presentation that's by Mark Passio. And it's the 15-minute video by Greg Mannarino that came out today. So that's 4 hours and 15 minutes today that you could sit down and learn some things. And why Mark's video is so important is because you can't build the courage to do anything until you feel the anger of losing your freedoms first, until you face the situation and let that gift of anger, the sacred gift of anger, be directed in what is known as righteous indignation, righteous anger. Not I ain't get my way anger, but anger towards what's going on here, the loss of freedom, the attempted forced vaccinations, the realization of the truth of what's going on here, all those things, and then you direct that into your perceptions of the world, and then you behave differently. You won't behave like a little person inside going, Trump's going to fix it. You'll actually be like, no, this is fucking bullshit. And you'll realize that human spirit inside of you is who you are. You won't be afraid of what happens to this avatar. And you'll realize that's what you came to do. Say no to tyranny. It's pretty important, It's pretty important not only to the soul, but it's important to those that still have, 80 years to live on this planet in each of their lives, and then the offspring they want to have, and the continuation of the human experience, period, as opposed to this AI-run, smart city, clone human walking around that's surveilled 24/7, that's, a product of and owned by the government, period, and everyone knows it. Think of all the things that, right now, people can't do. They can't get together, can't go to dinner, can't go, whatever. Kids are sporting activities that I would be at right now on the weekend. My son's baseball would have started. All that out the window. Kids sitting in on either a computer or a TV or an isolated house while parents are terrified of some virus, and they're programming this into their kids' heads. Don't touch that. Wash your hands. Yeah, you know what that is? That's called child abuse. And this is otherwise known as psychological warfare that's going on all around us. And it's time to get mad at it and to realize this is bullshit, because the big moves are coming. The bigger crash is coming. The big moves of further lockdowns are coming, and eventually those without things they need to survive will be coming. And you're not going to be able to call the police your protectors. You'll be protecting yourselves. And then they will have, again, a situation where people will play, save me, government, from this terribly unsafe situation. Believe me, they have this thought out in so many ways it isn't even funny. That's what social engineers do. So, all right, I've rambled on long enough. Love you guys. Get learning, and by God, get speaking.